Hello, today I want to show you how to make a card similar to these. But I'm going to be using different colors. I'm going to be using blues and greens instead of oranges and greens. So to start with, I have a piece of, this happens to be Arches watercolor paper. And although it's really the same on both sides, this one looks a little rougher. It also has spots on it. I don't know if you can see that spot. And I don't want that, so I'm just going to use this side. Now, this one, if you look real close, you can see a texture in that. And I can't remember what, come on, focus. I can't remember what paper I used. This one I just did, and I used Altenew's watercolor paper. This happens to be Arches, which is quite a bit more expensive. And what I'm going to start with is I'm going to take my colors. So these are the colors I'm going to try to use. We'll see what happens, how it mixes. So I'm going to use Blueprint Sketch, Mermaid Lagoon, Faded Jeans, and Peacock Feathers. I'm not sure I'm going to use the the oxide ink, because none of the other ones are the oxide. And I want to make it kind of dark, because in order to get this white on the top, I run it through a embossing folder. Then I use a white ink on the top of that. The darker I think my background is, the better the white is going to show, I hope. Either that, or the white is going to take on the color of the blues and the greens. So those are what I'm going to start with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put just some of this ink down like this, because we're just going to mix all together. And then the Peacock Feathers and the Mermaid Lagoon. Okay, that's how we're going to start. And now I'm going to take my watercolor paper, and I've got clear, just clean clear water here. And I'm going to put water on the whole piece, because I want all the colors to blend. I'm not sure my lighting is good. Let's see if I can readjust some of my lighting. Well, that's reflecting off of that, but that's okay. Alright, so you can see here, if I hold it up in the light, that I've got it pretty wet everywhere. So now what I'm going to do is I didn't have it wet everywhere. I'm just going to take and kind of dip it into that and see what happens. Literally, that's all I'm doing. And my fingers will get messy, which is okay. You know what I might want to do, too, is squirt some water on this so it flows a little better. Alright, let's do this down here. Make sure this is, make sure this is wet here. I'm just dipping and spraying, basically. Trying to get a nice blend of these colors. I think I want a little bit more of the, maybe the Mermaid. In the center here. And there's no particular rhyme or reason. I'm just, until I get something that I like. And I can just let it flow a little bit here. Oh, missed a corner. I don't have a lot of green, and I think I wanted a little more green. Now the Peacock Feathers had a green tone to it. Let me try that. Or I might have to get another a greener green. And where it's light here, I'm trying to get more ink there. I think I'll just take my brush and dab it on. And I will trim 1/4 inch off of this once it's done and mount it out of white. All right, now I'm going to set this aside to dry. And I'll be back. So I dried it with my hair dryer, and this was still wet, so I'm just taking it and picking up some more colors. See if I can get a little more interest in here. On camera, this looks like it's pretty much all one color, but in real life there's much more green in there than it looks. But I think I'll still add a little more peacock feathers here. Now I have to decide, do I want it with the splotches in there? I like the colors. I think it's coming out nice. But, or do I want to spritz the whole thing and let the colors blend so it's a smooth background? I think I'm going to try it like this. I want a little darker there. Okay. Now I have to wait for this to dry, and we're going to emboss this with a 3D embossing folder. Doesn't matter which one you use. I'm going to use, let's see, I have it out here someplace. I'm going to use Scalloped Flowers, which is the one I used here. I like it because there's a lot of texture and detail in these flowers. I love this one too, but it's not as much detail. So I'm going to try this one. I'm going to use my heat gun and I'm going to dry this mostly, but I want it slightly damp so you can get a better impression. Okay, that's probably good enough. It's still quite damp. You can see how easily it bends, but that means it's going to give me a good impression. So I'm going to go and emboss this. So I'm going to decide how I want my flowers to be. Let me see how I did this. Not that it has to be the same, but I did like the way that turned out. So I must have done it this way. It looks like. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I really like that. Can you see the depth in that? Now, I do want it completely dry now before I I add the white. So I am going to dry this completely. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to use, let's see, what do I have here as far as whites? I have Hero Hues, and I have Distress Ink White, and I wonder what it would look like if I did gold over the top, but I'm not going to do that for this card. So I'm going to start with this. This is a pigment ink. This is not. So I'm going to start with this. I'm going to try to make this as flat as possible because I don't want the white on the background. I only want it on the raised areas. So I'm going to try to make sure my ink pad is flat, and I'm just going to rub it across here. And you can see, wow, what that does. That is just stunning, I think, anyway. Oh my gosh, look at that. The foam on my ink pad is getting worn. Time to get a new ink pad, I think. Oh man, that's beautiful. Let's see if I can get some more up here. Now, what I did with this card, because I wanted it even whiter, and I don't know how come this one looks so much whiter. And again, it could be a function of the embossing folder. But what I did is I took some of this and put it on the top. And that seemed to have helped. Yeah, see, I can get a little bit more white on there. Stunning, stunning, stunning. All right, there you have it. Now, I did get some of the white here. I may be able to cover that a little bit. So I've just got some of the ink on here, and it's still a little wet, and my brush is a little wet. And so this is just kind of dulling the white so it doesn't show as much. Then all I did was trim it down to 1/4 of an inch all the way around, and put it on a card base. And then I added a sentiment. And I happen to have lots of sentiments already done, pre-cut, and I just pick out the one I want. Here's the final card. Personally, I think it's stunning. So these are the 3 cards I have done with this technique. This one was the same embossing folder. This one was a different embossing folder, and I splattered some Altenew iridescent ink spray over the top of it, and you can see the little splatters. This one I had Altenew sequence, and this is a Pink Fresh Studios iridescent gems, I guess. They don't look very iridescent in this light, but they are in real life. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.